Okay. Again, welcome everyone. Tonight, we're talking about the ABCs of the ACC, and this is about the Arizona Corporation Commission, what it does, and why we should care about it. And I'm going to cover the structure of the commission, who it regulates, how you can participate, and a few other things. I'll be answering questions at the end, and if I can't answer your question, I will happily find you an answer. So we'll go ahead and get moving here. Okay. If I can advance the screen, that's the next one. Okay, so there are a number of energy policy forums in Arizona. The Arizona Corporation Commission is one of them, and we're going to talk about that this evening. There's also Salt River Project, its board and managers, the legislature, governor's office, and the administration. There are cities and counties, our congressional delegation as well. And all of those entities have an impact on energy policies, but I don't think well, I think the Arizona Corporation Commission is an entity that has perhaps the largest impact. So what is the Arizona Corporation Commission? It consists of 5 elected commissioners. It's constitutionally established, so these are constitutional offices. It has jurisdiction over services and rates and the quality of the services. There are 14 electric utilities that the Corporation Commission regulates: Arizona Public Service, Tucson Electric Power, but not Salt River Project. And I can talk more about that later, but the bottom line is Salt River Project is an entity unto itself and is considered a public body. The Corporation Commission approves or denies a number of utility proposals. There are energy efficiency implementation plans, renewable energy plans, a variety of other activities. And it also establishes rules to further govern these utilities. Again, it has constitutional authority. You can find the authority for the body in Article 15, and it has full power to prescribe just and reasonable charges. And basically, the Corporation Commission has constitutional rate-making authority, and this is considered what is called plenary authority, and so it has sole and exclusive authority relative to rate-making. So the legislature can't tell it what to do or make changes related to the rate-making power that the commission has. It can in some other areas that I'll talk about, but it can't relative to rate-making. The Corporation Commission has responsibility beyond regulating public utilities. It also regulates usually small private water companies. Some of them are actually rather large now. It facilitates incorporation of businesses. It has some security regulation and railroad and pipeline safety. One thing I found out this year about the railroad and pipeline safety is that when you call about pipeline safety, they refer you to the entity that is running the pipeline. So I called about Kinder Morgan, and I got referred to Kinder Morgan. So that was kind of odd and something I want to look into further. But anyway, there are a number of responsibilities the commission has. There's an entity within the commission called the Arizona Power Plant and Transmission Line Siting Committee. This is an entity that is created in statute, so it doesn't fall within that constitutional authority of the commission. And so the legislature created this. The legislature could change it or get rid of it altogether if it wanted to, and had the votes. This entity is appointed by the Corporation Commission. There are 11 members. The Attorney General's office presides over the Power Plant and Line Siting Committee, and usually an Assistant Attorney General. Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, Arizona Department of Water Resources, the governor and the Arizona Corporation Commission chair or the chair's designee serves on this body as well. Any thermal power plant of 100 megawatts or more has to get a certificate of environmental compatibility from the committee. And thermal power plants, basically power plants that are using heat to create electricity. So, for example, solar photovoltaic does not fall into this category because it uses the light versus the heat from the sun. And so those, no matter what the size is, a solar photovoltaic powered generation array does not have to go through the siting process. They also cite transmission lines of 110 kilovolts or more. And some of the things that they look at are whether or not these facilities are compatible with the total environment, impacts on air quality, water quality, those types of things. The Corporation Commission, once the Power Plant and Line Siting Committee has made a decision, the Corporation Commission can affirm, reject, or modify the recommendation. And both of these bodies do take public comments, and groups can also intervene in the process. The Arizona legislature's role, basically the Constitution indicates that the legislature can enlarge the powers of the Arizona Corporation Commission and also determine rules for its proceedings, but it can't, as I noted before, it can't do things to just narrow the commission's authority. One thing that it can do, however, is if it can act in non-rate making areas, and if it's acting, for example, in an area that the Corporation Commission is as well, if there's a conflict, the legislature's action will take precedence over the Corporation Commission. So in recent years, we've seen the legislature try to do that in a number of areas. Luckily, most of that has been unsuccessful. The Corporation Commission's a state agency, so it's subject to the rules that other state and laws that other state agencies are, including the open meeting law. So they have to do the public's business in public, and also public records laws. So you can make a public records request and they have to provide you with information that is not confidential. Their rulemaking is generally similar to other state agencies with a few exceptions. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the commissioners as well, because they're key to what happens on the Corporation Commission. The chair of the commission currently is Leah Marquez Peterson. She was appointed by Governor Ducey back in May of 2019 and was elected in 2020 and currently is serving her first full term. Her background is she's been very involved in the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She's owned a number of businesses, including a chain of gas stations. She ran unsuccessfully for Congress prior to being appointed. And I have her contact information later in the slideshow again too. I should also note, since being on the commission, she's known a bit for flip-flopping. She has voted for things and then later voted no for the exact same proposal. A key issue we were working on was the clean energy rules. She voted yes first and then later voted no on that. Commissioner Justin Olson, he also was appointed to the commission by Governor Ducey and then elected. He is also serving his first full term, but is not running for re-election, even though he could, and is running for the US Senate. He previously served in the Arizona House of Representatives. He's very interested in deregulation, retail competition, and opposes really any kind of requirements or mandates relative to clean energy. He has a tax background and also serves on the board of some fairly right-wing entities. Commissioner Sandra Kennedy has served on the commission previously from 2009 to 2012. She then ran again and began her current term in January of 2019. She's currently running for re-election. She also served in the Arizona House of Representatives and Senate, Phoenix Union High School Governing Board, and she's particularly been interested in holding Arizona Public Service accountable. And when former Commissioner Bob Burns was on the commission, they together were asking for, APS to come to the commission and explain itself. She's also been supportive of clean energy measures. Commissioner Tovar, she began her term in January of 2021. She also previously served in the legislature, was mayor of Tolleson and on the city council there, and on the commission is focused on transparency and integrity. She supported the clean energy rules that I mentioned earlier, and generally has been supportive of clean energy and also energy efficiency measures. And then Jim O'Connor is his term began the same time as Ana Tovar, and so he's serving in his first 4-year term. He also has flip-flopped on some key issues, including the clean energy rules. So this clean energy rules package, it would pass, and then one person on the commission would change their vote and vote no, and so then it failed. And then it came back with modifications, got 3 votes, and then for the final vote went down. So that rule package is actually dead. And I don't see it coming back unless there's a change in the commission. Very important in the process is the commission staff. There are a number of divisions at the Corporation Commission, 9 actually, and every division has its director. There's also an executive director. The executive director is hired and fired by the commissioners, but the other staff are generally hired and fired by the executive director. The other director that we interact with most frequently is the utilities director. And I guess utilities division, legal, and hearings are the 3 divisions that we have the most interaction with. And the utilities division is probably the one we have the most interaction with. They make recommendations to the commission about rates and, you know, rule packages and various things. And hearings, those are the administrative law judges that preside over public hearings. And then of course, legal, I think that speaks for itself. So if you're interested in just, you know, generally getting some information from the commission, knowing what they're meeting on and that type of thing, you can actually go to their website and sign up for notices and agendas. And it's very easy to do. And I'll share these slides with you all later so you have the links and such, but you just go to the meeting schedule, and then at the bottom there's a place to subscribe, and you can, there are several things that you can pick to subscribe. You can get notices for staff meetings, open meetings, special meetings, whenever the commissioners are appearing jointly, those types of things. The open meetings are just basically the commission's regular meetings. So that's where most of the work of the commission is done. You'll see an agenda, it'll have consent items on it, and those are usually done in bulk. Sometimes they pull things from it, but those are the key meetings. The staff meetings are where the various staff entities report to the commission. They usually talk about things like legislation and those types of things in staff meetings as well. And they can take action in a staff meeting, so that has happened before. And then they have a variety of workshops and other open meetings. For example, right now, the commission is looking at community solar. And so there's a series of workshops on community solar. Also looking at coal community transition, or what we call just and equitable transition. And they've had a series of workshops and meetings on that as well. This is what an agenda looks like. So if you get one of these in your email, this is what you'll see. At the top, it'll tell you what type of notice it is. So this is for an open meeting. You'll see the date and time, and then of course the location as well. And then there's also information on how to participate remotely. There are usually 2 different numbers for participation. One is if you just want to listen to the commission, and then another if you actually want to speak. The rest of the agenda will have these consent agenda items and then the regular agenda items. A lot of times we don't know exactly what time something will come up on an agenda. Sometimes they'll say, the closest we get to an exact time is they'll say, this item will not be heard before 3 p.m. on such and such a date. So that's usually the best we can get. Then on the individual agenda items, it has what company is affected. It will have the docket number and a little bit about what it's about. But usually you have, if you don't automatically know, and a lot of times we don't, you actually just have to go into the docket and learn more about what it is. And sometimes they don't quite give you enough information on the agenda to tell you exactly what they're doing. So docket numbers, though, basically, these are just numbers where you can find all the information on a particular issue. I was talking about the clean energy rules earlier. They were in a particular docket. The Arizona Public Service rate case or the Tucson Electric Power rate case, they will have a docket number. And the first letter in the docket number tells you what kind of a case it is. So this example is gas, but you can see over here, if it starts with an E, it's an electric one, and that's the most common one that we follow. And the others are, I think, self-explanatory. Each of the companies also has codes. And so this number right here is the company code, and then the year, and then these numbers are just the sequential numbers, but the others can tell you a little bit about what they mean. To be honest with you, the only ones that I remember are that first letter. Like if it's a G, I know it's for gas, and E for electric. I don't remember the company codes or any of that information. I just look it up. It's much easier. And on the Commission's website, there is an entity called edocket, and this is where you can search dockets and try and find information, filings, that type of thing. It is, you either need to know the docket number, which is super helpful, or at least the company. But you can imagine that a company like APS, there are going to be a lot of dockets associated with it. So it's super helpful to try and use the docket number to find information. If you're interested in finding something and you don't know the docket number, I'm always happy to help you. But you can also just call. You can call the commission and say, hey, I'm looking for the docket number for the APS rate case, and they'll provide that to you. So I mentioned earlier, there's the listen line and the speak line, and those numbers are generally the same for the open meetings. You can also watch online and just stream it, and that works pretty well. The only thing I will tell you is if you're thinking about speaking and you're watching online, there is a significant lag in the what's online. So in real time there and on the phone, they're going to be a way ahead of what's streaming. So I always try to call in on the item before the one I want to speak on, so I don't miss my opportunity. But there have been a few times when we didn't know they were, the commission was going to ask us a question, and we're like scrambling to call in, and it can make for a little bit of a frantic time. But I generally like to watch them and listen to them, and then call in just when I need to comment. And you can also watch meetings after they've occurred. There are archived videos on the Commission's website, and they can be very instructional. And sometimes if you missed a portion, like maybe you missed the beginning of something, they can help you better understand an issue. And this is just a little snapshot of the Commission hearing room. They have started having meetings in person again, but they still take remote testimony. I assume they will continue to do that. They took remote testimony prior to COVID as well. So the main hearing room, they have been limiting it to about 50 people, and then they also have an overflow room. Just like at the legislature, you can set up a request to speak account, and you can go ahead and sign up to speak before a commission meeting actually starts. You can also do that when you get there, but it's good to go ahead and set up the account ahead of time and then sign in. And I think a lot of people don't comment at the Corporation Commission, and sometimes they do that at the legislature too, but I think it's particularly true of the commission because they think they don't know enough about an issue, or there's a lot of technical information, or people at the commission sound like they're speaking in some kind of code. And I just want to say that you do know enough, and it's very important for people to participate in this process. What happens at the commission has a huge impact on our daily lives, what our electric bills are, what our gas bills are, if we have gas, how much renewable energy we're going to have, how long those coal plants continue to pollute. So many issues that they have an impact on. And so you don't have to be a policy expert, you don't have to be a utility expert. Really, the only requirements are that you care and that you're willing to learn a bit about the issue and be willing to speak up. So always good. If you don't, it doesn't matter if you don't have tons to say, 30 seconds, a minute, it's better to get that on the record and let the commission know your concerns. You, again, can just fill out a slip, or you can sign in electronically. You go up to the lectern to speak if you're there, or via the phone. Actually, you can do either right now. And you're probably will be limited to 3 minutes at the most anyway, so you're not going to get too much time. It's always good form to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to speak to them. And then you can also submit written comments. There's a way to do that online, and you can just fill out a form and submit it, or there's another way through e-filing to also submit. And you can take your comments directly down to the commission and submit them to the docket. Always good to have the docket number on there, especially if you are dropping them off and you've made comments. But even via e-filing, they're going to ask you for a docket number, and so that ensures that the comments get into the right place. And so when the commissioners go into that docket, they'll see them, and and so will others that are looking at that docket. Always good to highlight why an issue is important to you. Note if you're a particular utility customer, and then, just how you're affected by it. It is some of the most effective comments that I've heard have really been people telling their story, whether it's about how their utility bills or about how they've suffered from coal pollution and the impacts. And now the utilities have a responsibility to these communities to help with the transition. And we've heard some really compelling stories and testimony at the commission. Again, I just put this in here because I'll share the slide so you have it, but all this information is also available on the commission's website. And you can phone their offices. They all have commission email addresses, and then you can find them on social media. So if you are interested in highlighting an issue, I know a couple of activists who regularly do this and just say, hey, commission, do you see what APS is doing, or do you see what TEP is doing? So it's good to tag them and let them know your concerns that way as well. And you can also, if there's a reason to, you can also thank them that way. For example, when they denied the certificate of environmental compatibility on the Coolidge generating station, a lot of folks thank them by tagging them on social media. You can also complain to the commission, officially complain, and there is a place where you can file that. This is the utilities complaint. They always ask you to try and resolve the issue with the utility directly, but don't hesitate to complain about something. The rates or charges is kind of a common one, and if you think there is a problem, don't hesitate to do that. Whoops, I went ahead too fast. Obviously, there are a lot of things that they can't address, like complaints related to cable, satellite TV, things like that. So if you can meet individually with commissioners in person or virtually. They do take meetings. You can call their office, make an appointment. There are a lot of the dues, people who have done the legislative workshop know some of these do's and don'ts. They're fairly similar for meeting with, I think, any public official. You want to be on time, be cordial, and if you're meeting on a particular issue, it is good, again, to know the docket number, look it up ahead of time. And if there is one, sometimes there isn't a docket number, it's just something you think the commission should be addressing and they're not, then that's fine. And always good to thank the commissioner and the staff and enjoy yourself because you're helping to make change. And the don'ts are, I think a lot of them are common sense, but I think they bear emphasis. Being angry and hostile and threatening, those types of things are not particularly effective, and but you do want to be assertive. You don't want to back down, and you want to keep the discussion on point. If the commissioner asks you something you don't know, say you don't know. And one thing just to note about the commission is there are certain procedures where they have what's called ex parte invoked, and that means that they're not supposed to communicate with people who've intervened in that process outside of public settings. So, for example, when the commission was considering the Coolidge generating station certificate of environmental compatibility, I couldn't, and didn't talk to Commissioner Kennedy or her staff or any of the other commissioners about it. We put information into the docket and we spoke at the meetings, but nothing outside of that because ex parte was invoked. And it will usually say at the top of any docket if it's been invoked. So if you're not an intervener, it's not your responsibility on this. It's the commissioner's responsibility to make sure they abide by it. Some people have to register as lobbyists. The bottom line is, if you're just talking speaking for yourself, you don't have to. If you are representing an organization, and you should, if you're a technical expert, you don't have to, and attorneys who are advocating on behalf of clients don't have to as well. But if you're if you're representing an organization and don't meet those conditions, then you should be registered as a lobbyist. It's really easy to register, and unlike with the legislature, there's no regular forms that you have to file. And sorry, this is taking a little longer than I thought, so I'm almost done. Here are some upcoming opportunities at the commission to comment and participate. They have the just and equitable transition process. They have a special open meeting on that on August 1st at 10 a.m. And that would be a really good meeting to participate in and to support more resources for communities affected by coal plant closures. And then I also wanted to mention that the Southwest gas rate case is beginning, and there are going to be opportunities for public comment. Each of these opportunities will run for 2.5 hours or until the last person speaks. So you can't call in you can't count on calling in at 8, for example, on August 9th, and they're still being open. If public comment is finished, they'll finish earlier. So, but there are several opportunities, and we'll be putting out some talking points on that fairly soon. And that's it. So I am going to stop sharing and see if folks have questions.